Just need to switch the scene and we are live. I hope the sound is okay. And there's already a few people here. Okay, so just to let you guys know a bit about how we planned everything. Wait, let me actually turn off the music. Or should I have it on a bit in the background? Okay. Yeah, true. So the plan is that we have a discussion with a few questions that we worked out. And at the end, you guys can also, in case we haven't mentioned whatever you had in mind, you can ask or start a discussion with us about it. And each question you can also write in chat what you think about it and your opinion. And yeah, so first of all, thank you, Scrid, for hosting with me. I'm very happy. So, shall we start off with like an easy question? Just like your current read and your current movie or TV show that you're currently watching. Maybe also game, because we're a few gamers here. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay, that sounds exciting. We can't hear her. Wait. We have a tech issue. That is not intended, no. It might be the Discord setting again. I quickly fix it. There it is. Okay, now she should be able to be... He should be able to be hearable, guys.
Can you hear me now? Fingers crossed.
Yes? Okay, now it works. Okay, so you were saying reread The House of Hollow you finished?
Yes, then... I've just finished a reread of House of Hollow, and my next read is The Library of Lost Words by Pip Williams, which is essentially the story of a young girl whose father is helping write the Oxford Dictionary, and she picks up all the words that have been left out or forgotten.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? What are you reading?
Oh, so my current read is... I actually have it here. Prepared. Maybe in another life. I hope it's the right way around. It's by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And it's actually my third book of her. And I've been so far really in love with her writing. Like, her writing is phenomenal.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's a bit of a... So, like, there's two parallel worlds, basically, where she made a decision in her life to either go with her best friend or with her high school love. And it goes really different directions, how her life could, like, possibly go. And it's really interesting so far.
Nice.
Yes.
That sounds cool. As for TV shows, what are you currently watching?
So I started watching... Actually, it's a movie that I recently watched. It's Purple Hearts. It recently came out on Netflix. And it was actually really good. Okay, show-wise, I don't really have anything at... Oh yeah, no, that's wrong. I started watching Resident Evil, the show.
Oh, cool. I have been really bored. I've been rewatching Criminal Minds again.
That's a classic. That's a good one though. I love it.
Yeah. Very emotionally attached to those characters. Had a little bit of a cry, but it's okay. It's how you know it's a good show.
What about you, Chad?
Yeah,
what books are you currently... Yeah, and your book that you're currently reading, maybe? And games! Games as well. You wanna go? Sims 4. Yeah.
It's basically all I play is Sims 4.
Yeah, especially because the high school pack came out. which
Yeah, I
I was
haven't
really
played
excited.
much with the high school pack yet, but
Mm.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I love
I
all the
got
build
it.
stuff.
I looked at the build stuff. It looks amazing. It's a lot of
Yeah.
clutter, so I love with Sims 4. I love all the clutter stuff to decorate. It's amazing.
All of my builds are like super detailed and cluttered, so I'm very much enjoying all of the new items and playing around with them.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are you
and
playing
then
at the moment?
I'm back on the Dead by Daylight trip. I'm grinding it. I'm grinding it a lot. You finished House of Hollow 2 hours ago, Evie says. Amazing. That was like... How long did you read? Yeah. Dead by Daylight, Zara saying? Yeah. That's a game at the moment for me.
Yeah. I've never played Dead by Daylight, but it is one of those games that I can't play because of my disabilities, which kind of sucks, but I enjoy watching everyone else play.
Yeah, it's a fun game, definitely. The Boys on Prime. Okay. I've heard really good things about that, yeah.
I might have to add it to my list.
There's already so much on that. But can always have more.
Exactly, it's a never-ending list.
Yeah. Okay, but that was a good, nice little chat already, and maybe we should get into the rating now for House of Hollow.
Yeah.
You go first? Yes, you go first.
Okay. I personally give House of Hollow a 4.5 stars, I think. Not a full 5 stars, because I feel like there was a few things that I'm like, was that necessary? But
yeah,
I really enjoyed it. It was good, and it has really good reread value, I think.
That's also interesting to know, yeah. You done? I don't want to interrupt you.
Go for it. Sorry, I'm trying to read chat at the same time.
It's fine. If something comes to your mind, you can just say it as well. Yeah. Okay, so I also give it 4.5 actually. The only critique I really had was that it was a bit repetitive sometimes about the looks of the sisters. I was a bit like, okay, we get it now. They're beautiful, they're stunning, they're breathtaking. We get it, you know? And it took a little bit until the plot started rolling. So that was my only like critique that I had. So 4.5, I think is a great rating. And definitely enjoyed it. Yeah, chat. Your ratings.
Yeah, tell us what you guys thought. I think one of the other things that sort of knocked down the rating for me personally was Iris's fixation on Grey. It was just a little uncomfortable at times.
Yeah, there was one quote actually that I also wrote down that I found very, very weird, and that was I wanted to peel the skin from her body and wear it draped over mine. Okay. That was like, okay, Iris. That's a little bit weird. Like
I feel like she had almost a like sexualized fantasy of her own sister.
Yeah. I had the same feeling.
Someone that does have sisters, I found that incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Like, I don't have siblings, but even I found it weird. Like, that was a bit uncomfortable at times, definitely. Evie also gave it 4 stars. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like 4 or 5 stars-ish rating. 5 stars would be too much for me personally. There was a few things that I didn't like as much. So yeah, definitely.
I don't think I think I've only read 1 or 2 books in my life that I would give a solid 5-star rating. It is it's got to be a really good book.
Yeah.
To hit that rating.
I mean, it really had potential for me in the start because it was something completely different from what I usually read. So this whole like horror thing going on and the atmosphere of it was very special to me, and I was like, oh, this is could be a 5-star read, but yeah, 4.5 is close. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
I read a lot of horror and dark fairy tales.
Okay.
So while I feel like the author got the atmosphere really well, but it didn't have that full potential of a good horror fairy tale.
Yeah.
It was almost there, but just not quite. She like you said before, she fixated a lot on telling you how pretty the girls are.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not necessary.
Yeah. You could have saved that for a few other things, like maybe more world description. Like, we got the really small part, in my opinion, of the halfway. That was actually the parts that I enjoyed the most.
Yeah.
And if we had more of that, like, a less description of the looks, that would be.
It's like looking at all my tabs. Like, there's very few marked with like very pretty like descriptors.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I use floral tabs.
Oh.
I use this floral one for like the pretty flowery language. And there's not a lot.
No, yeah, definitely not a lot. But yeah, we already had a bit of that topic with the sisters and their relationship. So their closeness and almost like obsession, like from Iris, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That she really, really wanted to be Grey or be like Grey. Literally were her buddy.
Yeah,
sorry?
Yeah, so I found that whole dynamic between them quite odd, because she both simultaneously wanted to be her sister while also condemning her sister for her behaviour and the way that she acted. And it was very conflicting, I found.
Yeah.
The particular part about like she very much sexualized and kind almost slut shamed her sister for the way that she acted, while also being so obsessive of wanting to be her.
Yeah.
Which I found very odd, personally.
Yeah, it's a bit like the opposite of what she's behaving. The thought she has about this like slut, almost like slut shaming, and then like you said, still wanting to be like her, and like it's very odd, yeah. And also, so I said about the quote before with the skin, which I, looking back at it, knowing the ending, also is very interesting. So like, okay, those of you who haven't finished the book yet, I know one person here hasn't yet, so don't listen right now, because that is a heavy spoiler for the ending.
Spoilers ahead.
So yeah, just mute it for a second. So yeah, we know in the end what Grey did with the skinning part. So I found that really interesting, looking back at the quote, that she wanted to skin her. I was like, okay, were you already like hinting in that direction? That you literally the skinning part being there already in that was like right in the beginning. It was like page 2 of the book where she said it. So that was like a little hint there, looking back at it.
Yeah, and it's like I completely agree about Iris both wanting to be Grey and not liking it, but yeah, Evie, it's a very odd dynamic. And like, out of the three sisters, I actually really enjoyed the dynamics between Vivi and Iris.
Yeah.
I felt like they were more realistic of what I've experienced having sisters being like.
Yeah. It was more healthy.
Yeah, it was much more healthy. Like, still it was a little bit unhealthy. But what sibling dynamic isn't a little unhealthy at times?
Exactly. Like, yeah. Can be a little toxic at times, I guess. I don't have a sibling, but
you kind of forget that boundaries exist with your siblings sometimes. Like, you push those boundaries a lot because you know it's a safe environment. But I feel like the pushing of those boundaries was much more healthy between Vivi and Iris, and Vivi was much more open about communicating how she was feeling. Even when she went on her bender, she was very apologetic of I shouldn't have done that to you sort of attitude, which was much healthier than Grey's attitude of, well, I did the right thing, you need to sort of do what I say.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, I get that she's the oldest and all, but yeah, that was a bit much. I did love Vivi though, Vivi saying. Yeah. Me too. She was cool, definitely. It was also interesting that like they were like describing how close they are, the sisters. Like they have the same heartbeat. They were falling asleep with like feeling the pulse and stuff, and otherwise they couldn't sleep. And yeah, them also feeling each other, like where everyone was going, but they still ended up like so different, like completely opposites of each other.
Yeah, and I think that's also another quite realistic dynamic of their relationship. I liked that they weren't all the same. So I feel like you see that in a lot of books with siblings. They either all end up identical to each other, or it's hard to differentiate who's who. So I liked the different dynamics, especially because you could see the similarities in their behavior and the way that they acted, but also see their own personalities, which was quite good.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Vivi was more like the rebel, and Phil Grey was more like the... how to say? Yeah, more the like sexy and model and all this like glamorous, I guess.
Yeah, sort of filled that stereotype of the pretty glamorous sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sort of had the rebel, the model, and the nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the like grey mouse, we would say in German. I don't know if that's a saying. It's like she blended in, but or she tried to blend in so people wouldn't notice her too much.
We would call them, we'd call him more of a wallflower.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone else has agreed with me. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce or use this, so I'm just not going to.
A wallflower, Zara is saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was quite interesting.
Just looking if there was another. Oh yeah, there was another quote about the dynamic. That she didn't. She said, Iris said about Grey as well. I didn't follow my sister. I was my sister. So that's also.
And it's a little yikes, but also I feel like that is pretty common between siblings in a way. Especially when they're a younger sibling, they'll often try and like be like their older siblings. I know for a while there, like well before I came out and everything, I tried to be a lot like my older sister when I was younger, but
you didn't think that you were your sister.
Yeah, I didn't think that I was, but I was like, it's common to try and emulate your siblings, especially if you look up to them. But I think they took it a bit too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah. And I think then we talked about that you wanted to ask the question as well. Or like if you wanna shoot it.
The question I wanted to ask you was, whose side do you think you would be more like, mums or dads in the situation?
That's a difficult question. I think first I would also be more like the dad, like angry and like questioning what those things are that like took the place of my children. But then in the end, like something that really, really touched me was what the mom said in the end when Iris was like, "How can you stand me?" And she said, because you've been my daughter for 10 years, how could I not love you? And that really touched me. I was like, that's so true. I mean, yes, you lost your children, but they don't 100% know what happened. They know something is wrong, and that they're probably not their children. But in the end, they lived with each other for so long. And I think especially a mother with like the mother instinct that everyone is talking about, like nursing them and all that stuff. Yeah, you're bound together. Like you have a connection, and then she lost her children, and it was like instant like replacement, I guess, in that sense. So I think I would be the same. I would more be like the mother.
Yeah, she's kind of in denial about the situation. Like she acknowledges it, but she's still very much in denial. I'm slightly mentally unstable. We love having funky mental health. I think I would want to be like Mum, but I think in reality, I think I would break and be more like Dad.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to be, but I think knowing myself well enough, I would probably end up snapping. Which I hate to say, but
I mean, it's an honest opinion.
I'm being totally honest about this, but like I do genuinely think, because like I worked as a nanny for a number of years. I know what it's like to be really attached to your children. Like my little girl, she's 8 now, and she was 3 months old when I first started looking after her. Like, if she went missing at that age and came back and things were completely different, like the whole eye and hair color changing and everything else, I don't think I could handle that. I think that would break me.
Yeah.
So, like, I can see why he acted the way he did. Doesn't make it okay, but I kind of understand it.
Yeah, I understand both sides, definitely, yeah. But I think I would be more like trying to find an explanation for everything. Like they've said like the eye color could change because of a like medical, medical what is it called?
The eye color, the hair color change was Marie Antoinette syndrome, which is actually a real thing. I googled, and then basically the other one was the stress causes the edge of the pupil to disrupt, and black out the eye.
And it was something similar with the hair, like was an actual disorder as well.
Yeah, so the hair was Marie Antoinette syndrome. And it's named that. I did some research into this because I find that stuff fascinating. It's called Marie Antoinette syndrome because it's believed that before Marie Antoinette's assassination, the day before, her hair spontaneously turned white because of the stress, and that's why. Sorry.
Oh, good.
So that's why they call it Marie Antoinette syndrome when your hair changes white.
Okay.
Due to stress.
That's so interesting.
I found that interesting.
Yeah, it really is. It really, really is.
I'm a nerd.
But yeah, chat, how would you end up more like? Would you react like the mom did or more like the dad? Like, yeah, it's totally understandable, like both parts. And I think it's also so interesting that the author took that approach of completely different reactions to the same situation, and they were both of their childs, and they still reacted very, very different to it.
Yeah, I almost think in my family's dynamic, my mum would have been more like the dad, and my dad would have been more like mum.
Okay, so opposite.
Yeah, opposite. So because you said before, it's like the maternal instinct to protect your children. I feel like in some situations that could end up going the complete opposite way of your maternal instinct is so strong that when things do go wrong, you're more likely to snap and be like, "You're not my child. What have you done?" Whereas a father may be more like, "You may not. I'm just going to deny that this is happening." Because let's be fair, cis men generally tend to be told to suppress their emotions, so would probably just go with it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's very true. I wouldn't know if I think both of my parents would be in denial. I don't know. I think from the feeling they would both be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like the other question you had was if you would do the same like as Gray did. That's also a really interesting one.
Yeah. So what do you think you would do if you were in that situation?
I don't think I could do what Gray did. As much as I would love my siblings, like if I had them, I don't think I would be able to kill 3 girls and like skin them. It's like really hard for me to wrap my head around that. So I
Also,
don't think
the
I
like
would.
going back and forth constantly between the two places. Like, I can't wrap my head around or understand the logic of why she did that. Like, obviously in the book it makes sense, but like the going back to that place over and over again, even after you've escaped.
Yeah, I think it was like her bad conscience that she had. Like she tried to make up for it by saving other lost children. So yeah, I think she did feel remorse about it in a sense. Even though it was kind of like, yeah, that was like Gray was a character that I really had problems to know what she really felt. Because she didn't know if it was an act. Like, same with the like, did she really like Tyler? Was she really sad? It's like you see glimpses of her emotions, but then it seems like she shuts them off again. And I think this is like the only real thing about her that I really felt like, okay, she did feel remorse about it. Otherwise, she wouldn't have helped. What was her name? The girl in the shed in Scotland. Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I'm just like, I think she genuinely did love and care for Tyler, but at the end of the day, I don't think she had the full capacity to actually understand and act on those emotions in an appropriate way. It felt more, I care about this person, therefore I must be in love with him.
Yeah, and also because he was different. Like, she couldn't manipulate him to do things. So, yeah.
And also, towards the end, in the funeral sort of scene, the way she acted with being with the family and being at the funeral and acting sort of like the grieving widow, that didn't sit right with me.
No, me neither. So I believed her when all that happened, like the situation in the halfway, when she saw everything that happened to him, like how her dad skinned him, and yeah, the grieving there felt really, really real because it was only his sisters, and as soon as she was back, it felt like it was all an act. Like she had to be the grieving ex-girlfriend or whatever it's called. Yeah, that felt really fake to me again.
Yeah, really fake, really forced. Yeah, I was just odd. It was just really odd.
Absolutely, yeah. I feel like she was really also more herself in the halfway than she was in the actual like human world. Because as soon as she was there, it was like she wants to portray herself, like in the image that she had. Yeah, everything there was just like felt like an act, and then you got to see a glimpse of the true self in the like halfway. Yeah, definitely. in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. It's like she almost seemed more human in the halfway than she did in reality, which is kind of sad in a way, but also completely understandable. It's like I don't think she ever truly wanted to leave the halfway. I feel like her sisters wanted to leave, and she felt like she had to leave with them, but she never truly wanted to leave that place. That was where she meant to be, and I think
that sounds
that's
really...
where the remorse comes from. I think the remorse is more for the fact that she left where she wanted to be for her sisters, instead of actually doing what was best for her.
Yeah, I think so too. Because she kind of was still trying to bring those things over into the human world as well, with like the whole the clothing line, like bringing that into her clothing, like the smells and those little things in the clothing. Yeah, I felt like she really like missed that place, and maybe also a reason why she kept going back there, like back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. If you were ever in the situation of you ended up in the halfway, do you think that you would just stay and let it happen, or do you think you would try and find a way out like Ray did?
I think I would want to go as fast as possible. So one thing about me is that I'm really scared of anything like moldy. So hearing all the description really made me shiver. Like it was like, no, I would never want to stay there. I would probably, I don't know if I would go as far as like taking someone's skin and going over there. But it seemed like there was another way, like with Gray's blood. So that way,
and like
I would.
Tyler found a way out.
Yeah.
You'd take whatever Tyler's route was, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I would not take the cruel way. Just like the runes and that stuff.
I think I would probably just resign myself to that. Okay, I'm stuck here now.
Oh no.
Oh well.
Oh well.
Oh well. I guess this is my life now.
Well, that also works. Yeah.
AP, take someone's skin. Hell no.
Oh.
Like, AP, I think you should read this book. I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It sounds out of context. It sounds really weird, and the book was weird. But in a good way. It was very, very like looming and creepy, and the descriptions. Phew. Like at some point, I was like, "Oh God, I don't want to read this. I don't need all the details on this." But at the same time, we needed all those details to really get the feel.
I'm the kind of person that loves all those gory details.
Okay.
I love horror. I love all that like creepy, gross details. I mean, I'm a special effects makeup artist. I love shows like The Walking Dead and like analyzing it.
Yeah.
AP, I'm already a psycho. Can you imagine reading something like this? AP, I'm probably also kind of psycho.
Yeah, it's a book written for you then.
Please.
Yeah,
You'd
like
love it.
I appreciated the descriptions as well, as just as I hated them at some parts.
I think she did a really good job of being descriptive without overdoing it.
Yeah, it was bearable.
Yeah, I think a lot of authors go too far into the detail, and that's what puts people off. I feel like she found a really good balance between having all of those gory details without making you feel icky and like sick feeling. It was a very good balance of pretty and gross.
Yeah, I feel that. It was still nice to read in a sense. definitely. But yeah,
and I think that's one of the reasons that bumped the rating up for me, was the fact that the writing style was very well balanced. Yeah.
It wasn't like, so like, for example, I'm naming Stephen King. I always like to name him because he can go on about details forever. And like details that don't really like add to the story or like bring the plot forward. And I felt with her it was like you said, a good balance. Like you didn't like feel like, okay, come on. we wanna know how the plot keeps going.
Yeah,
so yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One thing that I feel like she could have been a bit more descriptive of, or maybe done a little bit more research on, was the knife. Because she originally described it as a stag-handled hunting knife, but then also often referred to it being kept in one of the girl's pockets.
Oh.
If you've ever seen a hunting knife, that is not possible. You will cut your leg open.
Well, that's good.
Hunting knives are usually about this long.
Yeah.
They are not small. And that's usually just the blade end.
Yeah, having that in the pocket doesn't sound good.
Yeah, and she also described it at one point as having as like unfolding it, like as if it was collapsible, and I'm like,
yeah,
no, that doesn't make sense. Just some of the descriptors of like the knife and the rest of it were very inconsistent, and I noticed it, and it bugged me.
I haven't at all. It's so interesting that you noticed it. It's really interesting.
Well, I live in New Zealand. Hunting is a very common thing here, especially down south where my family's from. And the fact you know more about a hunting knife than the writer is scary to me. I'm explaining why, but hunting is a very popular thing here, especially down south where I'm from. So knowing like different knives and like what you would use on a farm and all that sort of stuff is pretty common knowledge, especially because my family owned a farm. And two of my brothers are actually really into hunting. And we would eat a lot of fresh hunt meat growing up. So that's why I know these things.
Okay.
I'm not totally crazy. I just have first-hand experience.
Yeah, and that makes you notice those things more. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, the average city kid is not going to know that.
So, yeah, we already live for 40 minutes. I just had one more thing, and that was the character development of Iris. That was also something that I was really impressed by, like by her development from this like, what do you call it, wallflower, to like someone that's really confident. Like this whole thing made her confident, first of all, in her power. Like she stood up for herself towards the bullies at the end. And I was like, yes, give me that moment of like, girl, you got this. Like, I have a good feeling leaving her on her own now. And like, yeah, she got that. She really took her moment there.
Definitely. I think she grew up a lot. And I think because she was so young compared to the other two when all of this happened, she shrunk away from it. And because her mother was so overprotective of her, she never had the chance to grow into herself. She was sort of stuck in that 10-year-old sort of mindset and ability. So I really enjoyed that. And I also really enjoyed the fact that she turned to her mother and said, I don't want you to do this anymore. I don't want you to braid my hair anymore. I need that independence. Because her mother was quite controlling in my mind, and it just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Like, of course, it's understandable. Like, she went through a lot. But at some point, you need to let go. And I was so proud of Iris to, like, be like, I can still be there for my mother. Like, I don't need to leave her. But, like, here are my boundaries. Like, don't overstep that. Leave me my freedom. And we're gonna be fine. I'm still gonna be here. And I'm gonna be fine. Like, It's
Yeah.
perfect.
And I also feel like Vivi had a really subtle character development as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you first meet her and she's this really rough, tumble, punk rock, does not care attitude. But as the book develops, she sort of realizes that she's developed unhealthy coping mechanisms rather than facing
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. And I think her coming back and spending time with Iris, that bond between them growing without Grey, I think that was really good for both of their character developments.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And she
Yeah.
also, like, I feel like she got a bit more understanding about her mother as well through Iris.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think that was really important, that sort of accepting that, yes, her parents made some bad decisions, but it was because they were grieving and scared.
Mm.
And I think that was a really important development between the two of them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I also have one last question as well.
Yes.
Do you think there will be a sequel book based on the way it ended?
I actually really hope so. Because
Same.
I'm curious to see what's gonna happen to Tyler. There was this like mission that Iris was on. And then also slightly rooting for Tyler and Iris. Like,
same.
I don't know why. I mean, I know why, because I think I don't really like Ray as much. I think she's really difficult as a character, and Iris is such a lovely person, and she really deserves, and Tyler also deserves someone really good. I mean, he seems to be that kind of cocky player kind of guy, but he really isn't. There's something good in him. Yeah.
He's a traumatized young man who just doesn't know how to handle his emotions.
Yeah, he didn't have good surroundings, or wasn't surrounded by people that actually like were there for him.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that like a lot of those sort of Asian families, often the boys, especially if they go through something traumatic, they aren't allowed to process it or deal with it. And I think that was why he was so cocky and the way that he was, because he never really processed what happened to him in losing his sister.
Yeah. It's kind of like trying to play over that.
I do really hope though that there is a sequel or something.
Yeah, with the ending, it's hinting towards that. Yeah,
and it's set up really well for it to be a standalone as well. Like, it was satisfying enough ending that you could be like, okay, cool, this is the end of it. Like, I don't need any more, but if there's more, it would make sense.
Yeah. Agreed.
I feel like too many authors try too hard to set up for a sequel or set up as a standalone and then end up having a sequel. I think she hit a really good balance with that ending.
Yeah, it's like a slight open ending. It was like the plot was kind of closed, but there was still stuff that could happen.
Yeah, there was potential.
So yeah, chat, if you have any more questions or thoughts about the book, just write in chat. While you have time to write, let's do a little round of kiss, hug. What was the other one? Mary. Kiss, hug, Mary. With the sisters. I'm curious of that.
I honestly probably marry Vivi. Kiss Iris, and I guess I'd have to hug Grey.
Hug Grey.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust Grey to not try and manipulate me with the kiss.
No. Like, a hug is okay. Okay.
Hug is bearable. It would be like a very brief, like 2-second side hug.
Yeah, I think I would actually say the same. Because Vivi seems more like... So Iris would be, I think, a really safe bet. Like, would be a really safe marriage. And I think Vivi is more like adventurous. Like, you could travel together and that stuff. So yeah, I would definitely say marry Vivi and kiss Iris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I like that like sort of punk bad girl kind of attitude.
Yes.
With all the tattoos. Oh,
Oh
I
yeah,
love me some
tattoos.
I have
Tattoos,
a
that's
few,
true.
not as many as I want, but you know.
Same. I only have 2. I have one this on my arm and one on my
I have
collarbone.
2, but they are on my leg.
Oh yeah, I
Well,
remember. I
yeah,
remember.
my chicken nugget tattoo.
Yeah. Okay. But so far I think we covered everything. Chat is
Yeah.
quiet, so yeah. I think that's it then.
Yeah.
And the next pick I'm also really excited for. It's actually gonna be reread for me, The Song of Achilles. Have you
I
read
haven't
it?
read it yet, so I'm excited. No.
So it's gonna be
It's a
first
new
time.
book for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll be
so
good.
yeah, so I read it or listened to it as an audiobook, a German one. And I didn't like it as much, so I'm curious to see if the English book is gonna like make me connect more to the characters and stories. But I mean, everyone said they cried and it was so emotional, so I have high hopes.
I have a vague understanding of like what the of like the original story is, but I've just never got around to reading the book, so I'm interested to see. I can already tell that I'm going to cry. Just from that like little beginning section and the writing style. I'm like, okay, knowing how this myth goes, I'm 100% gonna cry.
Yeah.
So it is not a book I will be reading at work on my break.
No,
like
better not.
House of Hollow.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
Because I read most of House of Hollow on my lunch break at work, and I don't think that's something I could do with Song of Achilles.
Yeah. All right, but it was nice. Thank you for joining me again.
Of course.
And next time we're gonna be 3 hosts, and yeah, it's gonna be on Keith's channel. So thank you everyone for being here, and I'm so excited to read the next book with you. So it's gonna be August, September, end of September-ish. It's gonna be the live show. And yeah, have a good weekend, everyone. Bye.